And we're off. Hello, everyone. It's Oliver Foote. What am I going to talk about? There's quite a bit of background noise, like someone cutting something in the background. So this is a pretty good test to see if that is getting picked up in the microphone and if the microphone, if it's picking it up or not. I find it fascinating how so many people just live their life. Their life has no posterity beyond their one existence. But there are a few individuals, which is probably a little bit better of a way to describe this. There are a few individuals who stand the test of time and whose names are enshrined in history, whether for beyond their lifespan for a short period of time or for a much longer period of time, like centuries, millennium. If we think on the scale of millenniums, so thousands of years, you have the Romans, you have Marcus Aurelius, who we don't really know if that was an actual person. There's a good chance it was, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I honestly haven't read anything. I'm just espousing stuff that I've heard from other people. I'm learning a lot about how to basically communicate, how to build relationships, and I've read a couple of really interesting books recently, one called Supercommunicators by Charles Duhigg. And in the book, he talks a lot about these kind of three different states of communication. Who are we conversation. So this is talking about our political ideologies, how we see ourselves, all of the experiences that we've had over our lifetime that have brought us to where we are today. And he also talks about these other ideologies. What are we doing here conversation? This is like, what is the goal of this conversation? Is it to deal with our emotions? Is it to deal with something else? And how do we feel conversation, which specifically deals with our emotions. So this is basically taking a more delicate approach, and rather than trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes, trying to actually deeply understand them. And he talks a lot about looping for understanding, which is this concept of somebody speaks, you let them finish. Once they finish, you try to summarize it in your own words, in your own way, and then you ask if you understand and if that's what the other person was trying to get across. And this way, you have had to work in your own head to come up with what you think the person was trying to say from your own perspective. And this kind of helps you both meet not in the middle, but it kind of helps you both understand where the person is coming from, whether or not you agree with them. And it actually does build a little bit more agreement over time. So by looping to try and understand, and if it doesn't work, that's what's called looping, is you kind of keep going. The person says, oh no, actually I was thinking more like this. You say, oh, so you meant that this, and that. And it's like, no, maybe not quite. I was kind of more like this. Oh, does this have anything to do with it? Something like this, blah, blah, blah. And once you kind of go through that whole process, by the time you're done, you'll have very well learned about how the other person thinks, and you'll be able to see it from your own perspective too. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I really enjoyed that book. I would highly recommend it. I read A Gentleman in Moscow, which was just sick. Such a good book. Honestly, I don't even know what to say. It was a great little way to learn about some Russian history, about the different revolutions, the Bolsheviks, the starvation, and you kind of see like the way that the hotel changes and the types of people that are coming through the hotel and the types of people who are holding important meetings in the hotel changes over the decades as different people come and go from power, but the hierarchy always stays. That's the one thing about any form of any system, is that almost inevitably humans will organize into a hierarchy. So we have this kind of innate ability to self-organize into hierarchies, and no matter how hard we try, we always kind of end up there. So no matter what the system is, there's always going to be someone who has more power or less power, or more influence or less influence. And it's just kind of the way the world works. And No matter what your system is, whether it's capitalist, communist, you're going to end up with a situation where there are people who have more power than others. And I found this really prudent points in A Gentleman in Moscow, which is there was this actor, Anna, and she she was famous and then went out of favor. But while she was famous during the Bolshevik Revolution, when everything was the property of the people and all the aristocrats were basically kicked out of power, they gave her this really nice house and they gave her all these nice things that were the property of the people. So you can have a nice house and you can have nice things so long as there was a copper stamp on the bottom of it that says this is the property of the people of the Soviet Union. So I found that kind of funny. I was like, yeah, the people own this and I am just borrowing it for now to live my luxurious lifestyle. And to be fair, she did end up actually having to return it when she fell out of favor and she lost the big house that she was given. But there was someone who had to make that decision. And, you know, whether it was the courts or whatever. Yeah, quite interesting little situation there. I think I've probably spoken enough just to get a good idea of what everything sounds like. And now I can listen back.